Welcome to this week's episode of This is Indiana. I'm Lindsay Wright.
And I'm Olivia Ray. We're glad you're back for the latest updates on all your Hoosier athletes.
That's right. We have more on IU football's big win over the weekend, and Hoosier basketball is back in action. We have a special guest here tonight to break down all you need to know as the team kicks off its season.
This is Indiana starts right now.
Hoosier sports continue to shine as the fall season continues. Let's check out the highlights of all Indiana sports from this past week. The Hoosier football team traveled to New Jersey on Saturday to take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Backup quarterback Xander Diamont put the first points on the board with a 59-yard touchdown run down the sideline for his third 50-plus yard touchdown run of his IU career. Quarterback Richard Lego started off the game on fire, completing 14 of his 16 passes, including a wild 36-yard touchdown to Ricky Jones. Hoosiers' defense stood strong, forcing one fumble, 2 interceptions, and special teams managed to block a punt. Devon Redding added 2 late touchdowns in the third and fourth quarter to give Indiana a 33-27 victory. The Hoosiers improved to a winning record 5-4. The team hosts Penn State on Saturday at noon.
And the number 4 ranked men's soccer team took on Northwestern in the Big Ten tournament quarterfinals on Sunday. The Hoosiers came out with a big win in overtime, 1-0 on their home field. Trevor Swartz scored the single goal that led to the victory. The 11-1-6 team moves on to the next matchup against number 20 ranked Wisconsin this Friday.
And the women's soccer team season is over, but redshirt sophomore Michaela Brown was named to the Big Ten All-Tournament team. She's the first Indiana selection for the tourney since 2013. The Hoosier soccer team made it to the Big Ten tournament in their season for the first time since 2013 as well.
The number 1 ranked men's and number 12 women's Hoosier swimming and diving teams continued their hot start to the season, sweeping Michigan State in a Big Ten dual meet at the Councilman Billingsley Aquatic Center. Head swimming coach Ray Luce decided to shake things up a bit, putting swimmers in events they don't usually participate in. Olympic gold medalist Lily King did not compete in any individual breaststroke events, but still shined, helping the Hoosiers win both relays and placing second in the 50-yard freestyle. Junior Vinny Lanza won 2 individual events himself, taking both the 200-yard freestyle and the 400-yard IM. Indiana also dominated in the diving well, winning all 4 of the springboard events. Olympic medalist Michael Hickson took both men's springboard contests, while Michelle Bauer and Jessica Parado gave the Hoosiers the edge on the women's side. Overall, the Hoosiers won 28 of the 32 events on the day. The men improved to 7-0 on the year, while the women now stand at 5-2. Next up is a non-conference dual meet with Cincinnati. The meet is slated for 2 p.m. Friday at the Councilman Billingsley Aquatic Center.
After falling in 3 close sets at number 3 Minnesota Wednesday, the Indiana women's volleyball team picked up its 2nd consecutive ranked win at home Saturday, taking down the number 22 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes at University Gym. Senior middle blocker Jasmine McDonald continued her stretch of stellar play, posting 13 kills and 4 blocks. Outside hitter Allison Hammond recorded 7 kills herself in addition to a game-high 3 service aces. The thrilling 4th set featured 10 ties and 4 lead changes, with Indiana taking the final 3 points to earn their 5th Big Ten win of the year. The Hoosiers' record now stands at 16-11 with just 6 games left in the regular season. Next up, the Hoosiers head to Ann Arbor to play number 17 Michigan Wednesday night.
It was a great start for the Hoosier women's basketball season this past Sunday. They started with a $4,000 check to the ALS Foundation before the game for ALS Awareness Day. Their first and only exhibition game was against UIndy's Greyhounds. The Hoosiers started strong with a 25-point lead by halftime and held strong, crushing the Greyhounds 87-58.
Basketball season is finally underway and the Hoosiers have impressed in exhibition play. Highlights when we come back.
Hi, I'm Sage Steele of ESPN. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Indiana University.
Welcome back to your favorite sports recap show. This is Indiana. Exciting news, Indiana basketball is back in action on the court. The men's team dominated in exhibition matchups last week. Now let's go over to Olivia, who has the latest breakdown on Hoosier basketball.
That's right, the number 11 ranked IU men's basketball team ended their two-game exhibition slate undefeated, crushing the Division II Bellarmine Knights 73-49. OG Anunoby continued his impressive string of performances, putting up 25 points and making 10 of his 12 shots in the victory. Anunoby added 6 rebounds and 2 steals while wowing the fans with his athletic playmaking abilities. Sophomore center Thomas Bryant added 11 points and 8 rebounds of his own, but it was his assist to Josh Newkirk that brought Simon Scott Assembly Hall to its feet. The Hoosiers begin their regular season Friday night when they face the number 3 ranked Kansas Jayhawks in Hawaii as part of the Armed Forces Classic. Tip-off is slated for 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And now here to tell us everything we need to know about Indiana basketball is Ben Wittenstein. Ben was on the call this Saturday for BTN in Indiana's basketball last exhibition matchup. This weekend is IU's first big test of the season as they face Kansas this Friday. However, Kansas really isn't the only early test IU has. It has a very tough non-conference schedule this season, and with the departure of Yogi Ferrell and Troy Williams, Indiana needs a leader to step up right away. Ben, who do you think that leader is going to be?
Yeah, especially with the departure of Yogi Ferrell, who was the leader both vocally and on the court. Troy Williams, obviously one of those leaders on the courts as well. I would expect someone like Thomas Bryant to step up. The sophomore, he's had a year at Indiana. He's had a year to really get used to his teammates, get the chemistry going, things like that. So to see him become a little bit more vocal on the court, off the court as well in practice. I mean, he's someone who a lot of people noticed was very emotional at times during the games. He's kind of cut down on that a little bit, but with that, he's able to kind of get his voice back and kind of direct the team a little bit more, being a little bit more comfortable with the departure of Yogi Ferrell. On the sidelines too, Colin Hartman is kind of someone who I expect to be a little bit of a leader, especially in the coaching position, because especially we know now that he's out with the knee surgery, he's out indefinitely, so he's not going to be able to play, at least on the court, but on the sidelines, he'll be able to coach him up, see things from different angles, and he is a senior also, so that experience is really invaluable to a team like this.
Like you said, Yogi was a big loss for the Hoosiers, also in point production. Who is going to fill that spot?
Well, I'd expect someone like James Blackman Jr., for example. He was out last season. He only played 13 games for Indiana, so that's going to really be an issue for him to kind of get back into things. But after the first 2 exhibition games, it kind of seems like he's found his ground. He was 0 for 7 from the three-point line against Bellarmine, but it really seems like he's got his shot back. It seems like he's able to really get his confidence back. So that's kind of big for them. Expect to see him probably be the points leader for this team, other than probably OG Anunoby, who's the next guy who kind of expect to take over in terms of point scoring for this team, because we saw him have 25 against Bellarmine. He was the leading scorer in that game, the leading scorer for Indiana. And against Hope, he was also one of the leading scorers with like 16 points or something like that. So he's going to be someone, he's electric. We know he can jump out of the gym. We know he can dunk the ball really well. But he's also someone who's been working on his three-point shot, working on his mid-range jumper. So that experience as well, for him to be able to get that next year in the sophomore eligibility, is big for him.
Like you said, sophomore, we have several underclassmen that are going to step up to the plate here, and you got to see a couple of the freshman newcomers in action during your game. So who are those freshmen?
Well, you look at someone like Curtis Jones, who came in as a freshman, highly touted recruit. He's going to be someone who might not see a ton of playing time, but he'll definitely see a good amount of playing time, especially in some of these smaller non-conference games. Then Devontae Green. He has surprised everyone, including starting with Hoosier Hysteria, where he hit 5 3-pointers in the Hope game. He was their leading scorer with 17 points, and he played a pretty good game against Bellarmine. So he's going to be someone as well who I kind of expect to take the role of OG Anunoby and how he did during the Big Ten schedule last year, where he kind of had a coming out party. So Devontae Green is someone who really have to keep your eyes out for. And then Deron Davis, the big guy down low, 6'10", 245 pounds, something like that. He's going to be a huge impact on this team down low for this team if he is able to work well with Thomas Bryant. So for them two to work well together, that's going to kind of be a chemistry issue. But as the schedule goes on, he'll be getting more and more comfortable playing in Big Ten play.
And before Big Ten play, We have Kansas, North Carolina, Butler, Louisville, IPFW, all pretty tough games in non-conference play. What are going to be some of those first challenges and keys to Kansas?
Yeah, well, obviously going into Kansas, that's going to be really tough. Bill Self, he always helps his team get ready for those first games. And with Kansas being the number 3 team in the country, you can't really pick a more difficult opponent to start your season with. So this young team, and they are pretty young, especially with those 3 freshmen, who they are going to rely a lot on the point scoring, they're going to be tested pretty easily coming into Kansas, and especially going to Hawaii. Freddie McSwain, who I haven't really mentioned a lot, but he hadn't played in a gym with over 2,000 people before he came to Indiana. So for him to go to Hawaii, play at the University of Hawaii with 10,000 plus people, that's going to be a test for him. So really it's testing out a lot of these younger players, getting a lot of the older players back into the groove of playing college basketball schedule, which is always tough. But having to start with Kansas is always tough, and then going to the non-conference schedule, which is going to be a bit easier teams, that should help lighten the load a little bit as they move on to teams like UNC and Louisville and Butler.
All right, well, thank you, Ben. And Bloomington is just completely abuzz now that basketball is back underway. So your very own Rob Sherrill has the Hoosiers on campus and how students are feeling as this season is officially underway.
Hey, this is Rob Sherrill back again for This is Indiana, this time doing another segment of Hoosier on the Street, and we're going to be talking today about IU basketball, students' feelings, and their thoughts. Without further ado, let's go. Okay, I'm standing here with Julia Gooden. Julia, my question to you is, you went to part of the exhibition game, didn't you?
I did, yes.
What are your first thoughts, or what are your general thoughts about the first look at the men's basketball team this year for IU?
They're looking pretty good. I went to the second half of the game, so the score obviously at the end was favorable for us.
Very favorable.
Yes, so they look pretty good in my opinion.
Being a lifelong Bloomington native, it's really awesome that we're doing as well as we did. I mean, I remember a day back when I was young, IU was not an awesome team. Mm-hmm. I mean, back in this, a little bit after the Bob Knight era. Just to be back to where we are today and seeing Zeller and Oladipo and Farrell and all these guys doing what they're doing now is really.
So Victor Oladipo, former IU basketball player, he just signed a 4-year contract extension for $84 million with the Thunder. How does that make you feel as a Hoosier, as a student?
It's really exciting to see that. I think Zeller got a good big contract recently too,
Yep.
so that was exciting. But it's really cool to see the players that Tom Crean's recruited come and have a big impact not only here, but to continue that at IU.
OKC doesn't need KD anymore. They got Oladipo.
We got Oladipo. No more KD. We don't need KD.
Oladipo and Westbrook will be the greatest combination since Kobe and Shaq.
What are your feelings about IU basketball in general as a whole?
I think we're going to dominate this year, definitely.
And what makes you say that?
Well, based on the exhibition yesterday, seeing how we won, I think we are going to be action-packed.
Favorite player, last question, favorite player on the team this year?
I'm going to have to go with OG Anunoby just because I've watched him like this year and last year, and I don't know, he seems like a really strong player in my opinion. So.
Okay, well, there you have it. Thank you, Julia. This has been Rob Sherrill. This is Indiana. Back to you.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, it's time for our first segment of Hoosiers in the Pros, which you won't want to miss. Stick around.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Indiana University.
Welcome back to This is Indiana. The Hoosiers are in the headlines the past few weeks as they continue to accomplish some pretty impressive things in the NFL, MLB, and NBA. Former Indiana baseball standout Kyle Schwarber is an MLB national champion. He was added to the Cubs' active roster prior to the World Series after missing majority of the season with a knee injury. Schwarber shocked the nation as he batted over 400 in the Cubs' World Series win. And Indiana basketball's beloved Cody Zeller and Victor Oladipo both signed 4-year contract extensions for some big bucks. Oladipo signed for $84 million with the Thunder and Zeller for $56 million with the Hornets. And on to the NFL, Jordan Howard is with the Bears, who had a bye this week, but has tallied 202 total yards in his last game against the Vikings, which is the most by a Bears rookie since 1965. And Darius Latham, an undrafted rookie, continues to contribute to the Raiders' defensive line.
Now let's take a look at what the Hoosiers are up to this coming week. The Hoosier swim and dive team hosts Cincinnati in a dual meet on Friday. The teams face off at the Councilman Billingsley Aquatic Center at 2 p.m. And 14 Indiana swimmers are participating in the inaugural USA College Challenge, Big Ten versus USA Swimming. It all happens on Saturday and Sunday in Indianapolis on IUPUI's campus.
And the men's soccer team has advanced to the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament. The team faces the Wisconsin Badgers this coming Friday in Westfield. Both the semifinals and championship matchups will take place at Grand Park. If the Hoosiers defeat Wisconsin, they'll play on Sunday.
And following that Big Ten home win against Ohio State on Saturday, the volleyball team hits the road to take on Michigan in Ann Arbor on Wednesday. It starts at 7 p.m.
Women's basketball goes up against Presbyterian this Friday at 7 p.m. at Assembly Hall. And if you can't make it to the game, you can catch the game on BTN+.
IU football, now with a winning 5-4 record, hosts Penn State on Saturday at noon, the second to last home game of the season. And that's all we have for you this week, but the week ahead is full of Hoosier matchups, so you'll want to see us back here with the latest updates next week.
That's right, we'll have more up-close stories with your favorite Hoosier athletes, and we'll keep you up to date on all of the games and schedules.
But that's not all. We want to hear from you. What do you want to see on This Is Indiana? You can tweet us your ideas at Olivia Ray or at Lindsay Wright. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you right here next week on This Is Indiana.
Let me see your hands up, up, up.